tariffs, but another presidential policy has crushed the hopes of a Saskatchewan artist. Zachari Logan was commissioned to create a sculpture for an exhibit at the Art Museum of the Americas in Washington, D.C. But just weeks before the show was set to open, it was canceled. Museum officials say they were worried the exhibit would be considered a diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility initiative, which Trump terminated with an executive order. And for more, Zachari Logan joins us live in Saskatoon right now. Good afternoon, Zachary.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
So take us back to the start. What was this exhibit all about?
The title of the exhibition is Nature's Wild, and the exhibition is years of research by fellow artist and curator Andil Gozin, who he brought me on later in the project. Actually, I'm the last artist to join the other crew of artists that make up the group show Nature's Wild. And he saw my ceramic work, had known some of my drawings in the past, saw my ceramic work more recently at the Gardner Museum in Toronto, and invited me to be a part of the project. So it's several years of research that became a book about sex, queerness, and sexuality and the law in the Caribbean. So the exhibition was set to open in March of this year at the Museum of the Americas.
Yeah, and how important was it for you to be involved?
It was a really great opportunity and an honor to work with Andil on this piece, and of course, be featured in an exhibition, set to open in D.C. That was supposed to also have connections to World Pride. Many avenues that I was very excited about. I was also invited by the museum to come for the opening. It was a big deal for me, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Zachary, to describe to me what people would have experienced had they seen it. What is your sculpture all about?
The ceramic work is basically a crown of flowers, and it relates actually back to Andil's own personal history as a person who grew up in Trinidad and Tobago. And this particular flower is native to that area. It's called a jump up and kiss me flower, and it's actually a flower you could find in a garden bed in Saskatchewan or in Regina or anywhere across Canada and the U.S. But it is native to that part of Trinidad and Tobago, and this exhibition, in part, is about his own personal life and his early life growing up in Trinidad. And it falls into the mandate of the Museum of the Americas to show this particular exhibition. It made sort of perfect sense that it would open there. So. That was the sort of reasoning for the sculpture and for the commission and for this sort of collaborative piece.
Well, you said it makes sense. So what happened? How did you find out that maybe it doesn't make sense anymore?
Well, yeah, on February 14th, actually, I got the email from Andil that the exhibition had been terminated by the board and the museum staff. And it appeared to be definitely related to a Trump executive order, and I think also something that was definitely preemptive. So it was shocking.
Zachary, can you tell me more about that, like the reasons you were given? Because we have been hearing, obviously, a lot of organizations, museums in this case, have been, scared of breaking this executive order. What reasons were you given specifically?
Well, I wasn't given any, but what Andil was told was that basically just that the exhibition had been terminated and would not be going ahead. And I don't actually know what if the Museum of the Americas has made a official statement about this exhibition being canceled and the other exhibition, because there was another exhibition as well that featured primarily Black artists. So this exhibition was primarily queer and BIPOC artists, Nature's Wild.
Zachary, what do you read into this decision? Why do you think this is happening?
Certainly that because of the executive order that essentially, as I understand it, Marco Rubio was to do research over a 6-month period, find out which federal institutions or institutions that were getting federal funding that were backing or promoting or exhibiting artwork that was considered to be within the realm of DEI or anything that fell under that sort of umbrella by whatever name was, I think, some of the wording in the executive order. So there was supposed to be a period of 6 months where there was research gathered by whoever it was including Marco Rubio and under him, that would then come back, and from that research they would decide who they would defund. And essentially. And so because that's why I say it was preemptive, because the exhibition still could have gone ahead but didn't. So, because there was that sort of 6-month researching time period, it's obvious to me that the show still could have gone ahead but did not. And I think it's because museum staff were rightly worried for, I think, their own jobs and for the institution losing its funding.
How do you feel about what's going on in the United States right now?
Terrible. I mean, in part because I've spent a lot of time in the United States. I've done residencies. I've worked with major U.S. Institutions, museums, private galleries. I've forged relationships with people in the U.S. and I have many people that I know and I admire, and that I'm sick for them. I feel awful for them, but also the rhetoric coming out of the White House is deplorable, and I also don't feel personally safe being in the United States at this time. So I do have projects that I have decided not to travel to the U.S. for.
How might this affect your career, Zachary, your exposure?
Well, funnily enough, upcoming, I have projects that are within Canada and Europe. So, and I do have projects stateside as well. But within the next year and a half, I don't, other than one project in Texas. So, I do. It will definitely affect my relationship to the U.S. and hopefully it's not long term, but yeah, it's definitely affecting the way and shifting the way that I'm thinking moving forward.
Well, Zachary, thank you so much for coming on today and telling us about your experience.
Absolutely. Thank you.